Welcome back, guys.
Hey.
So we got people online already watching. Excellent.
Already?
Awesome. So
Nice.
yes. So welcome back to the Automotive Podcast. This is episode 13. We're back here with Mr. Tester playing in a hotel room. We got Sean and our special guest down in the Hollywood Squares box, Mr. Spencer Wilson from Scale Auto Garage.
Hello.
So,
hey, everybody.
So Sean's gonna be frozen all night long again, I guess. So there's always.
I thought I was going to be the one with the internet issues, but so far I've been pretty good.
Am I frozen still?
You are.
I can hear you. We can hear you, but yeah, your screen's frozen.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
For my purposes, so long as we can hear you, I don't. So long as we can see you, that's fine.
Always something.
All right. Yeah, so long as I can hear you. Spence, you're the guest tonight, so we'll start with you. What's going on in your modeling world right now? Like, what have you been working on recently? Last week or so.
So I'm just finishing up Liberty Walk, the R35, the brown one. This guy.
Okay, cool.
What is that? Type 2 something? I don't know. There's a couple of different ones. I got
there's like 5 of them.
That's him.
Nice.
Just ready for everything is ready for assembly. I did my my photo on the table with all the parts today. So tomorrow I'll do assembly.
What brown paint are you using?
That is the Tamiya brown, metallic brown X34, I think it is. Yeah, the instructions come with like you're supposed to mix a black, a brown, and a gold and everything. And I'm like, forget that noise. The Tamiya already does a metallic brown. So yeah, I figured that would work pretty good.
I thought you used the metallic orange for the Toyota 86 on that, but you use that metallic brown, huh?
Yeah, straight from the bottle, just thinned it out a bit and out of the airbrush.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Cool. So Spencer and I have been friends for a long time. We pretty much started our channels about the same time.
Almost to the month, I think it is.
Almost. So I bounce my ideas off Spencer, and Spencer bounces his ideas off me. But how many builds do you have on your channel now? Any idea?
I think I'm at 93, so I'm almost at the 100.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
You pretty much build a car a week.
Depending on how difficult it is. When you're doing a curbside, it's pretty easy. Like I recently did that the June AutoWorks, the Honda Prelude. That took me like 5 days. It wasn't very tough at all. There's very few parts and whatnot. But sometimes I'll encounter problems. I just did that Chevy Cavalier, and it was nothing but a nightmare. Oh my God, MPC, you're killing me. But yeah, I had nothing but problems.
Imagine that.
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't a build problem. It was user error. I went a little heavy on my clear coat, ruined everything. Had to redo it, but it actually assembled pretty easily, so I was pretty happy with that.
The epitome of auto engineering and model engineering at one time, right there, 1-to-1 and 1/25th scale.
Spence, how many hours do you put into a build typically?
So it's pretty hard to say. I build almost every day, and so I have blocks of time in my day, and I have like a 2.5 hour period in the morning, and then a second 2.5 hour period, and I'll try and build in those times. So if I really don't think it's that much. The longest you have to work on something is when you're doing the cut and polish. Like that always takes like, 6 to 8
Two
hours.
two sessions.
Yeah, yeah. That's always a tough one. But I can do all my painting in a day. Like so I could do clipping, initial assembly, and painting in a day. I could do that in a day pretty easily. Then you got to wait for the paint to dry. Then you do your polishing and everything. Then your final photo of all the pieces. And assembly takes a day. I can do assembly in a day usually.
So it's like HPI guy, but better.
Well, I'm not gonna trash the guy like live or anything, but yeah, I've tried doing spray cans and I suck. Like I gotta say, he's pretty good with the spray can. He gets a decent looking coat, and if you just want to build, he does a pretty good job. But it's no, and he says himself, it's no contest winner or whatever, right? It's just something to go on his shelf. I want to put a little more. I keep trying to, what do they say? Like 1% better every build. So then that way you're constantly doing something better. I like to improve on my techniques every time I build.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Sean, I think if anybody who has a functioning set of eyeballs knows what Sean's been working on recently, because he's not only finished or posted, because it's been done, but you've posted the built test shot. It's underneath your words, you can't see it. The built test shot for the 71 Ford. And then we also saw you finish up and this is something you talked about the very first time we had you on the air, that much maligned Chevelle wagon that had the paint that was never going to cure.
Yeah, that's true. I just posted that on Facebook, I guess yesterday or the day before. Yeah, I finally finished that up. It's still tacky. Like it's literally
Is it tester's enamel?
A little sticky. Yeah, I had painted that with Model Master. I had not. You should always clean resin bodies before you paint them, right? I probably knew that, but for whatever reason, I was in a hurry, or I don't know. I just brain fart, right? So when I painted that model originally, I did not clean the body and I didn't prime it. And I painted it. It looked great, like perfect spray can, glossy, no dust in it. Just looked awesome. And it just never dried. It still hasn't dried. It's like 7 years later. And but it's you can actually handle it. It's just that if you put too much pressure in it, you'll actually put a fingerprint in it. And over time, like dust has started to settle in it and get embedded, like in the top. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Sweet.
So
Nice.
So I was able. In fact, I couldn't even bare metal. I was gonna bare metal foil the window trim, and I couldn't handle it enough to be able to, peel this, lay it down, peel it off. So I used just a chrome marker and did a couple little bits, and I was like, you know what? It's fine. I'm done with it. So
Are those aftermarket wheels or out of a kit?
Those are Revell 57 Chevy centers. So I actually had made a urethane mold and cast my own resin copies of that custom wheel, and then I took a Pegasus Hobby rear wheel, and some of them are two-piece. You can actually pop out the center, and and so I used that for the rear wheel, and then just used the center, pasted or glued the wheel in from behind. Yeah.
Right. Jump.
Yes, I love the customized license plate.
Yeah. So I made So yeah, I put it on the shelf. I'm done with it. I'd rather have a model on the shelf than in a box any day, even if it's not perfect. And And it was something I actually really wanted to build, and I thought it was a really cool idea when I first, pro touring stuff was, kind of hot back then, and I thought that
Right.
would just be kind of a neat look. Yeah. So then I
Yeah.
just finished that up a few weeks ago too. So that's the model I built for the box art. So, and now that it's done, I can do what I want with it. So it's actually going to get changed. I'm gonna bring it to Akron this weekend, and then
Okay.
when I get it back home, I'm going to take it apart because I want to change it and do some different stuff to it.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to do a wheel swap on it. I'm going to add some other parts to it. I just wanted to make it my own.
It won't be the box art model anymore then.
Yep, it won't be the box art model. So it's going to be, it will have served its purpose, and I'm going to do something else.
Okay. All right.
So
very cool.
I appreciate it, and I say this in a sarcastic manner because it drives me crazy. But I appreciate everybody who told you that the wheels were too small. Like that was your personal choice.
I mean, it's
a box shot. It's a test shot build. It's like it is what it is. Like you're not allowed to change things. That's the whole point.
Right. But yeah, so it is going to get a wheel swap. I'm going to do something different. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do with it yet. In fact, I just ordered a bunch of stuff from Fireball Model Works, and I bought a couple different sets. I've got the 17-inch Method wheels and tires that he's got. So I've got that option. Or I also ordered. He's got a really nice set of the Ford wide steel wheels. I don't know if am I still frozen on screen?
Nope, you're showing.
You are.
Now you are.
Now you're frozen. You mentioned it and you're frozen.
Yeah. So anyways, I've got a couple different options. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but it's going to get a wheel swap, and it's going to get some other parts changed on it. So that's what I've done.
Keep us up to date on that.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Tester, you're stuck in a hotel room, but that didn't preclude you from working on stuff this week. You had yet another test of resin, and I presume that we're still making progress on the Unicorn.
Yeah, the Unicorn is like 80%, maybe 90% finished. I still have to do those windows. So I have to get the vacuum former back out, figure those windows out. But yeah, I mocked it up last night. It looks pretty good. I'll bring it to Akron and put it in the whip section or something.
Would the windows from the AMT 65 Mustang work on it?
I doubt it because they mount from the outside.
Okay.
But anyways,
Cuts.
It's been very close, very, very close. And then I have some PZY kits coming real soon.
Did our magic box show up yet?
Yeah, it did. It did. So okay. You got some decals in there, and you got the R35 where you only use a small piece of the hood, or the top of it.
Yeah.
And all the rest is resin.
The rear quarter panel and the roof. I think that's it. Or maybe
I think that's it.
Rear quarter.
Yeah. So
are they going to send you? Are they going to send you both Yaris's? Because from what I'm seeing, the time attack version is going to be one thing, and that Eva themed one is going to be a different one altogether.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get both of them. Yeah. So maybe I'll build them at the same time.
Buried in Toyotas. Buried in Toyotas.
And then the Lexus, and then the Porsche, and then the Liberty Walk F40. Yeah, I probably plastic kit until March.
So when we have Mr. Spencer on here, Sean had talked about having Bob Downey on. We need to get you in a speed building thing. Not the resin pieces. I understand those can't be, but all the plastic kits that are in the background there. We need to be cranking those things out like once every 10 days or
so. Yeah.
Because you're buried in sponsor commitments now.
Yeah. How about you, James? What project did you start this week?
Well, you know what? Mr. Bretland over at, well, it would be ISM, but he sort of changed channel name. Still on a super build for his birthday, and I was like, I have supers. Actually, I spent a great deal of time teasing him about the fact that I wanted to build the Meng Z4 because that is the Supra base for the current, Supra. It's a Supra. It's a BMW Supra, right? And we went back and forth about it. And I was comparing the chassis. I'm like, look, it's literally the same chassis plate. Just it's obviously it's the same thing, but nah. So I poked around the GR Super for a little while. I have the carbon fiber set for it, and I have the Hobby Design P set for it, and I didn't actually do anything to it, but I poked around at it. Like it's what Spencer does from the 5 minutes I've known Spencer now. He does exactly what I always say I want to do, which is work on stuff every day when I have the time to it. We're gonna drag it out by the end of the episode here exactly how he manages to do that, because Bretland's the same way. Where I understand Bretland's whole thing is he basically builds models for a living. I mean, ISM is sort of his, along with the paint thing, is his basic life at this point. But like, yeah, I come down here and I poke around at stuff. Right before I came on, I was rendering a video which I've had sitting for like 2 weeks, but I just now edited together at the last minute before we came on here. Like, I have things I could be doing, but I'm not. It's personal affliction that I'm sure the comment section will no doubt point out my flaws here because Frank's online. But yeah, By the way, I'm gonna post this up. I'm not gonna read this out loud because it's an inside thought. But I do appreciate Frank's commentary here about you having a build off. So yeah,
lawn furniture paint.
Yeah. We're gonna make Mr. Tester paint something with Rust-Oleum before the day's over. So yeah, that's been
interesting challenge. We should do a Rust-Oleum challenge and do a build off and just have to use hardware store paint. That's the only.
I actually did some testing recently. I bought a bunch of the Rust-Oleum stuff and I decanted it, and I tried to use it through my airbrush, and it was balls. Like it wouldn't. It all came out like super powdery, and I couldn't. I really couldn't do anything with it. It was kind of a shame. But I mean, it'd be nice if you could take a giant can of Rust-Oleum and decant the whole thing, and use your airbrush.
You'd have paint for days.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, you'd have more paint than you'd ever need.
I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could get a good paint job with Rust-Oleum. If you primered the body, and got a decent, probably like a solid color would probably work best, and did a 2K clear on it, I'm sure you could get a decent paint job with Rust-Oleum. Wouldn't be my first thought to do it, but.
So Spencer, talk about the new ban that just happened down your way.
Speaking of spray paint.
Sorry, I didn't catch all of that, James. Say again.
Oh,
the ban on certain hobby paint that just happened in Canada.
Yeah, so that came up recently that Canada has banned all Tamiya sprays. So that's the TS line, the PS line, and any and all primers. So, and the Tamiya primer has been like my go-to since day one. It's like the only thing I use. Is freaking brilliant. So, yeah, it's
what are you going to do?
A bit of a shock.
What are you going to do for primer?
So I got some of the jars, like the bigger jars of the Tamiya primer, and I got some of the Mr. Hobby, like some of the different grits, the 500, 1,000, and 1,500. So I'm going to do some experiments with them and see how they spray out of the airbrush, and we'll go from there. I mean, it's pretty much all you can do, right? It's just kind of it just kind of sucks because I know a lot of people really rely on the Tamiya sprays for their colors, and I mean even decanting them, stuff like the mica silver, the mica blue. There's there's a bunch of really great colors in the TS line that to me it doesn't do in acrylics. So
Right.
you're kind of limited. The acrylic line in a gloss is only what 34 pieces, and then the XF line is predominantly military colors.
Military.
So
Right.
you're kind of being forced to try different brands or whatever. I do use some Vallejo stuff. I do like the Vallejo paints, but you can't mix. Like I can't even airbrush Vallejo after the Tamiya because the Vallejo just gums up the airbrush.
Oh,
Yeah,
You can't mix the.
It's alcohol base and the water base aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did hear there was a ban, but I didn't know what was the reason. Why are they? And they're just banning Tamiya. They're not banning any other spray cans.
So apparently, it's something in the propellant that is over Canadian safety standards, and so somebody, in all their wisdom, somewhere in government, decided to test Tamiya sprays for whatever reason or whatever, and found that they were over this safety level. So instant ban. They stopped any and all importation, and they went to the distributor, because there's only one distributor in Canada, and they said all your remaining stock you are not allowed to sell.
Could
so
you
all that's out there
imagine
is what's
sitting on all that stock?
Yeah. So all that's out there is whatever's in stores, and that's it. No more.
Did you rush? Did you rush to buy it like toilet paper during COVID?
I did not. So unfortunately, my situation is a little bit difficult. I can only get product through the mail, and there's only one place in Canada that can mail spray cans, like one hobby shop. And because I can only get stuff in the mail, and I can only get stuff once a month, so I had already placed my order for like next month, meaning like I didn't really want to place 2 orders just to, get a bunch of spray cans that I may or may not use. I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't rush, but I've heard there's a lot of people out there who are, mad dash for the colors that they want.
So I know the reason why, but nobody else does. Spencer, tell everyone what you do for a living.
Yeah, so I'm a lighthouse keeper. I live in a lighthouse off the BC coast, and I live on an island. There's nothing here. There's no cities. There's no roads. There's no nothing. So I only get a helicopter here once a month that delivers my groceries and my packages. So I have to do all my shopping online. It's the only option I have. And then once a year, I get off station for a couple of weeks, and I go crazy. I hit every hobby shop I can. So,
wow, I think we could do a whole episode on what it's like to be a lighthouse keeper.
I have a YouTube channel, another YouTube channel, BC Lighthouse Keeper, and you can see some of my daily life. It's not that exciting, but it is a little bit different. There's no people. I don't have visitors. I work with one other person, and that's the only other person I see all year long.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that frees you up to build models, I can see. Yeah.
Sorry?
I said I'm sure that frees you up to build models.
Yeah. Well, because I never have to travel anywhere, so there's never any travel time. I don't get distracted by like going to the movies or hanging out with friends. I have none except James, and so it's like it's easy. It's easy to just sit down, and it's either watch YouTube or build a car. Well, okay, I'll build a car. Sure.
I told my wife that because James is on the road up there, that if he couldn't get online for some reason, you and I hadn't spoken, and I don't know what he wanted to ask you coming into this, but I could spend 2 hours talking to you about what it's like to be stuck in a lighthouse, because that whole thing fascinates me. You're living that life we see posted on Facebook every now and then, where it's like, do you want to work in a lighthouse? Do you mind being alone for an entire year? Make a buttload of money being stuck on an island for a year. And it's always like, if I didn't have a wife and a kids, that seems like it'd be kind of an interesting
you can
job,
bring your wife and kids.
Well, I know, but then I'd be stuck on an island with them. I guess that seems like a single guy kind of job,
So,
I've seen The Shining. I don't, it's on now. It's Shining on the waterfront. The sequel.
So, funny story, and this is only interesting. I said I work with one other person on my station. I happen to work with my ex-wife. She's my assistant. So it's a little unusual. She has her own house. I have my own house. We don't live together, but yeah, it's kind of funny you say that, because I live out here with my ex.
I don't even know where to follow. I don't even know how to follow that up.
we'll be watching the news.
Yeah.
But you got whales and timber wolves and stuff out there to look at.
It's it's interesting, because there are certain things that we become used to. When you live in the city, you get used to traffic, you get used to sirens, like all this kind of thing. The thing that annoys me more than anything else is the whales jumping around in the middle of the night when I'm trying to sleep. I mean, come on. Can't they just go elsewhere? Why are they gonna hang out in front of my station?
It's a different style, but it's still a first world problem.
Yes.
Say I have a horse farm next door. Every now and then you get through the windows in the night. It's like, oh guys, go back to your barn. Why are you making whinnying noises on my fence line?
So I usually have about 3 hours a day. I model every day, and I have about 3 hours a day to build. And you probably have 5 to 6 hours a day.
Well, like I say, my job consists of, I have to report the weather every 3 hours. That's sort of my main job that I can't deviate from. So I'm scheduled at 4 in the morning, 4:30, 10:30, 12, 1:30. Oh my God, my mind. 4:30, 7:30, 10:30, 1:30. I have to report the weather. So when I'm not reporting the weather, it's my choice what I do. I can do stuff around the station. I can watch a movie. I can whatever. So generally, I fill that time with modeling. There's not a whole lot of people who are around at 4 in the morning, unless I'm, talking to people in Asia or something like that. So it's a great time to build. You get a really nice, quiet 2 hours to really focus on what you're doing.
You don't have the wife calling you, come help me with this.
We are on because with the light keepers, you have different schedules. I work a certain block of the day. She has to work the other block of the day. So when I'm waking up at 4 in the morning, she's going to sleep. And then when I go to sleep, she's awake doing other lighthouse stuff. So yeah, it kind of works out. I get interrupted very infrequently, except for the dogs. The dogs are kind of annoying.
Just reporting in, windy and wet. Be back in 3 hours. Okay.
It's a little more involved in that, but yeah, it's not much more. Yeah.
Do you just build cars, or do you build other things too, boats and?
So I have a pretty extensive history in sort of the industry, in modeling and whatnot in general. When I started building, probably 10, 12, whatever, liked cars and stuff at that time. You know how it is back in the 80s. You build stuff, it's terrible. You paint everything black because black is cool and whatnot. So I did all that. Then as I got older, I got more into like hobby shops and whatnot. I worked at a couple of different hobby stores. I got more into like miniature painting, Gundam, and that kind of thing. And then eventually more into the toys. And then I opened my own store, which sold predominantly toys, but I would sell tons of Gundam and model cars and, you know, all that kind of stuff as well. And so I've kind of always like dabbled a little bit in everything, but I was way heavier in Gundam. Did a lot of sci-fi in my 20s and 30s. Lots of Star Trek. I mean, who didn't love Star Trek in the 90s, right? So it was all about the Star Trek then. Lots of Star Wars kits. I've done a little bit of everything, but now I build just cars.
It's mostly sports cars for the most part.
I would say
Because you
Yeah.
don't build like muscle cars, you don't build race cars, you build sports cars.
so I know like for my age bracket, so I'm 53, 54. I know my age bracket runs around like muscle cars are a big thing. But so I'm from Canada, and in Canada I don't know, muscle cars were never like, even in high school and whatnot. I never knew anybody who owned anything muscle car related. It was all imports. Everybody owned like Hondas and Toyotas and Subarus and, you know, Datsuns, whatever, all this kind of thing. So my thing has always been kind of imports. I love 70s, 80s, 90s imports. So I do a lot of Japanese kits, but that doesn't mean I don't appreciate domestic stuff. I just don't find, oh, please don't kill me. I don't find muscle cars attractive. And it's just,
Okay.
I just don't, because that's what I grew up with, right? So
yeah, you build what you've seen, what you remember, right?
yeah. And I'm not like, I really don't want to offend anyone or anything like that. It's just my thing isn't muscle cars. Yeah. I think I'm shunned for life now, I think.
Yeah. No, I think there's space in the hobby for all kinds of anything with wheels. We certainly appreciate anything with wheels here.
Yeah. Well, I'm very similar, and there are several muscle cars that I definitely appreciate. I just don't have like a huge inclination to build them. There is a kit. I'm gonna get this Model T that I want to do. Like I want to do like a full on street rod, and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I never felt I was good enough. But it is something that I want to try by the end of the year, or maybe early next year.
Okay.
You just saw a part of Nissan body. You can't be that bad at things.
It's when you get used to building a certain way, when you start going into a different direction, it's you question your abilities sometimes. So I have lots of kits that I really want to build, but I don't feel I'm good enough yet. So I'm kind of at that way, like with the Model T. I figure if I really want to do it justice, I have to
pick up some new
I have
skills.
to be sure that I can do suspension the way, like the American way, and you know, all this kind of thing. So, I mean, let's face it, Aoshima kits are pretty easy. Like Tamiya, they're pretty easy. There's not a lot of effort. But when you start getting into like MPC, old Revell, old AMT, it's a little more work.
Yeah, for sure.
Tiny here.
They require some fabrication skills.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I just want to make sure that I'm at a point where I can give it justice. Like I really enjoyed that last NPC I did. And I did the Datsun 620 pickup not that long ago, which is also an NPC kit. I enjoyed that. But I did the AMT XJ220 and it was a disaster. And I also did that the AMT the Diablo. Oh man, why do I ever regret buying that thing? Let me tell you, that was
Well, it was a
terrible.
3-kit set, right?
That was the 3-kit set. Yeah, I haven't done the Viper out of that set yet, so I don't know. I
That
just
one
haven't
was
had a lot of
overcomplicated for no reason, if I remember right.
yeah.
And I'd say it's a little over engineered, but at least it was a decent kit. There was something about that Diablo and that Jaguar for whatever reason. Why they picked those two in the first place, but those were mediocre kits when they were brand new as well. I mean, the 3-kit sets from back then. It's not like it's a reissue, but yeah, it's just I don't something about it. And Monogram had the same problem, and Revell's had. If it has a tube chassis and an American company had to put that together, it's like nah, it ain't gonna fit underneath the body. Nothing's gonna fit to it. It's unless it's NASCAR, we don't do tube frames in America for some reason.
What's interesting is I find a lot of the Revell kits are really impressive. I did that Shelby, the not the Cobra, but the other one.
Series 1.
Yeah, I did that, and that was an amazing kit. Like that was really something else. Like it was so well engineered. I really like the Pontiac Banshee. I like how the chassis and everything and all that went together. I find there's a lot of American branded kits. Like a lot of the Revell stuff is actually quite impressive. It's just with American brands, it's so hit or miss. You never know what you're going to get in the box. It's could be good or it could be a total disaster.
I think the newer stuff is a lot better than the older stuff.
Well, I did
The
get the
newer
C8,
kits.
and I'm actually really looking forward to diving into that one and seeing how that is, because I mean that's an all new tool, right? So and
Which
everything
one?
looks great
Right.
online.
So the only thing I've heard from the people who have built them is that getting the engine into the chassis is a very tight tolerance. Not that it doesn't fit, but it's if you paint it too much, it may not fit. Kind of everything on that kit is very very tight toleranced. So if you're a heavy-handed painter, which I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying you in the global sense, if you're a heavy-handed painter, you may have to scrape your paint back off to get things to fit. But other than that, it's supposedly a very nice kit. I have not actually opened the one I bought last weekend, but
Which kit is that?
The C8, the new Corvette.
Oh, okay.
The coupe that's a Targa. Because all Corvettes are Targas, there are no steel roof coupes at this point.
I'm waiting for that convertible version to come out. Then I'll
the convertible version has the cool set of wheels in it. I wish that when they showed the test shots and both sets of wheels were on that board, I wish both sets of wheels had come with it, but you only get the janky set that comes with the. It's a weird looking set of wheels. I mean, it's not a bad looking set of wheels, but compared to, and there's also an issue with that kit where if you get the Revell of Germany version, you get the faux carbon fiber roof decal, and you get a few other little odds and ends. And this has been a Revell versus Revell of Germany problem for a couple of years now, where you get a bunch of detailed decals that aren't in the U.S. boxing for some reason. Anybody who remembers the Ford GT, the race car, there was like a whole half a decal sheet on the German version that the U.S. kit didn't get for some reason. The U.S. kit has the center stripes that go up over the car. Now, I understand the reasoning because technically speaking, you can't get a center stripe car with the carbon fiber roof. That's an option package that doesn't exist. So, why would both be on one sheet? But as an option to the builder, you got to pick one or the other, right? You can't get both. And like, I'm not paying $70 just to have all my decal options. It's like, it's not even real carbon fiber; it's paint. So I mean, there's a guy. I'm not sure if Splash has done it yet. I know Paul has. They've done the carbon black effect paint. So if you want to paint the roof the carbon fiber color, you can. But it's like I get the point, but at the
that's
same
all
time,
it is a sparkly black.
yeah, that's not actually a carbon fiber. I mean, the roof itself may be carbon fiber, but it either comes in a sparkly black paint or body color, one of the two. It's not an actual
Okay.
like raw carbon fiber roof.
Now that would be better.
Let's say we got, let's see here. It's like CA Corvette watch for putting the floorboard on when you're putting the body. It's a very tight fit. Other than that, a great kit. So yeah, it's a tight tolerances, but I'd rather have it be something that's, fits together than falls apart. We've all put a kit together where you put parts in and they go back out because there's no any fitment or positive fitting. There's no holes. There's no poles, and it's that Ford that Ford Courier truck that like mid '80s was the Mazda that was captive imported here. That kit, like if you get that, they just reissued it not too terribly long ago. Where like if you look at it, there's no attachment pins in that kit. You have to like build the engine and then build the kit around it in order for it to all go together. There's not a single positive mounting pin on that entire model kit. Everything is a butt joint.
I've been really up and down on that kit. Like I like mini trucks. I've always been a mini truck fan. I've owned several of the Datsun 620s, so I like to build mini trucks. And I built the Chevy Love and a bunch of other ones. I keep looking at that Courier kit. And I can't get past that weird how they did the box with the door or something on it. It's very strange looking.
Yeah. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Comment section. Always good for a hoot, guys. All right, so let's see. Before we delve too far off of the beaten path of like what I have for this episode, let me see here. This was announced by Aoshima. This will get, I know, Mr. Chester's up and running here because it's the next in the series of the MF and Ghost here. What's interesting here, if anything were to be interesting here, is the fact that this is going to be built off of the upcoming Snap-Tight kit that's coming out this month, the 2022 Nismos. This is a 2017 Nismo, so clearly the Snap-Tight kit is going to be, given a little bit of a refresh here because this would require new bumpers on the front and the back, and I don't know if there's necessarily any interior pieces, but outside trim in 2017 was different than 2022. So some new parts for that, and you're going to get, your little number 9 decal here for the door, I guess. And this will come with the drone. They're all coming with drones. Apparently this entire series is nothing but a drone exercise with some cars in it. It's a cool little piece. It's like 3 pieces because the 86s have come out, so we actually know what the pieces look like on that. But yeah, so there's that. Hot off the presses,
because I'm nerd.
Hot off the presses, literally hot off the presses here. We got some news out of Mobius directly from Dave Metzner, who Sean may recognize as being the head of at least automotive product development over there, and making some commentary about upcoming kits for 2025. They are currently on mock-ups and expect to see possibly the beginning of the tooling test shots on the Ford Maverick and Mercury Comet kits. So I think that's the Mercury Comet part is something we didn't actually had ever heard about before. Sean's nodding because he knows all this stuff, but he Captain Secrets down there. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. That was I think a known secret because it's never really been formally announced that those kits were coming. It was sort of teased a little bit at Vegas last year that they were something in development, but as far as what they were and all that stuff, so it looks like it's going to be a series of them. Obviously, with the Comets being part of it, I'm personally up for like if there's going to be a little, a street version of these kits, yay. Their drag racing versions, I know everyone will be hot and heavy for, but I'd prefer an actual like civilian version. The 68 to 72 Chevy trucks, they're working on the 3D files, expecting to get the files at the possibly by the end of October, and thinking that the first one of those will be the second half of next year. So that series of Chevys, the 68 to 72s, still something that exists for anybody who is curious. And then the one thing that he mentioned here was unpacking the final test shot on 64 Comets, which would be something else Sean will be like, oh, yeah, sure. But that's something I don't think they've ever announced publicly at all. Like the 65 Comets exist. They're out. They've been out for 4 or 5 years now. But so 64 Comets, which I assume will follow the same pathways as the 65, being a street car and then some sort of drag car, possibly. I don't know if there's such a thing as an ultra wheelbase 64 or not. I'm not into drag racing, and I'm really not into drag racing from 10, 15 years before I was born, so I can't speak to that. But
yeah, I don't think the Comets are altered wheelbase. They're that didn't come till later. I think actually the Plymouths and the Dodges were the first factory altered wheelbase cars. Somebody might correct me in the comments, but I've seen the CAD for the Maverick and the Comet. In fact, I saw that a few months ago. In fact, I think I have it actually. They look great. They look really good. There's a stock version of both, as well as the drag race version that Dino Don and I can't remember who were the other drag racers that ran those. They look really good. I have not seen the Chevy pickups yet, so I'm excited about those. But I've known they've been talking about those for a really long time.
yeah.
And so the Comet too.
We talked about it before. I went to 67. Sorry.
There's another version of the 65 Comet that's coming out that actually had been tooled but never been released, and that's the BFX car. So that's
I remember hearing about that, but it never showed up.
Yeah, so they're finally getting around to releasing that one. In fact, that's on my plate to do the box art for. So that is the one that has the small block Ford motor in it. The AFX car had the big block, which is the version that's already out. So, yeah, those will be coming.
And the tow trucks are on the water. Expect them beginning of November. So, Yay! I'm up for a tow truck. Will I build it? No. Is it the 16th version of the F-Series that I'll own? Yes. Spencer, have you done your Canadian obligation and bought the Mercury pickup truck since we finally released a Canadian-specific model?
No.
It's just a fun one with all my Canadian friends. I'm like, oh, you finally got a Canadian car after complaining about it all these years. Did you buy one? No. Oh, it's not the right Canadian car. Oh,
I've heard you mention it in one of the podcasts that it was a Canadian thing. And I was like,
the Mercuries were the F-Series were sold as Mercuries up there apparently. So yeah, they've done that. And to Spencer's earlier thing about the because I have the site up here. The mix on that, if you were to mix it, would be 3 parts black, 1 part brown, 4 parts gold. So good luck with that.
Yeah. I know. I kind of thought that if I were to mix it, it would end up being pretty dark, and I really don't like doing. I think a lot about how it's going to look on YouTube, and I don't like doing a lot of dark cars because it's really hard to film. Like it sort of gets lost. So when I was looking at the numbers, I'm like, that just feels like a lot of black. And if you use, because I'd never use the Tamiya Gold because it's terrible, I would have to use the Tamiya Titanium Gold, which I think would be like it's
too soft.
I don't think it would lighten it enough. I think it would just end up being really, really dark. So yeah, that was my thing.
All right. So since it's very hard to interrupt when I get going here.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Just literally pop your hand up if you want to comment here, because these are going to be the kit releases for the month of October, and then we'll go back to picking your brain about model kits here. Let's see. So starting off with something that I guess probably I only care about, nobody else will. The bell kits, new tool kits are out for the Opel Ascana. This is a very early 1980s rally car, obviously. There are two different versions of this. This one is the, what is it, 81 Rally Monte Carlo in the regular Opel factory livery. And then they also have a second one that is the 82 Monte Carlo Rally, which is in the Rothmans livery, but we don't talk about cigarettes. It does appear, at least from everything I've seen, that there are no actual Rothman decals in here, but there are already people plotting and planning to throw the words at you so that you can get this decal up correctly. I beg your apologies for anybody watching who's saying, why is there Japanese writing all over this? Just the Japanese kits came out this morning, and it was the easiest place to find box art pictures. We talked about this a couple of episodes ago. This is the Mazda Familia kit that also has the Kia Brisa on the other side of it. This was supposed to come out a couple months ago. It got delayed. Now it's back on the schedule for this month, so hopefully that'll actually show up this time. Cool. Fujimi is going to release yet another version of their Suzuki Jimny here. This is going to be chiffon ivory metallic with a black roof. Ooh. Appears you're only going to get the Mylar decal set with this. I did notice, by the way, James, I didn't tell you about this, but there is a version, I think, of this one coming that's literally called non-paint. That's going to come with decals, regular water slides, and the Mylar stickers. So apparently we finally run out of factory colors, and we're just going to give you one that's in just white plastic. Yay! I thought that was fun.
I'm looking forward to the Oshima one. I want to see what they do, because those Fujimi ones are like $42,
right,
which is insane. So
I'm
I'm waiting for the Oshima.
They're snap kits too. So like, I don't be interested to see what you get for the $20 difference in price.
Right.
Yeah. Moving along to something I'm sure that Mr. Tester also would like, because he likes little weird Japanese cars. This is a Daihatsu Mira Vivian S. Apparently Vivian S is a trim level on this. They've done this in the past once before, back in like the 90s when this kit was released. You get the snazzy, decals for the mid 80s Japanese seats, which is like a mandatory thing. Every Japanese car of that era had to have some wacky pattern stitched into the seats. It's not that kit. It's, it is what it is for being a late 80s and early 90s Fujimi kit. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but you have to, of course, like your K cars. So
I do
that. I think that actually comes with a different set of wheels than the one that they've released in the past, but that's neither here nor there. Again, another version of the Mr. 2 from Fujimi. Go buy the Hasegawa one. Unless you want the High Society, which is what this is, which of course has this gigantic, 80s style aerial on it, and the rib for your pleasure side cladding that all Fujimi kits now come with, that you have to cut in here. Oh yes, of course, your chromed wheel arches, because High Society, according to Fujimi, is chrome wheel arches and cladding on your lower side skirts. So yeah.
I do dig those 80s tri-blade wheels. Those are cool.
I'd be interested to see if this is actually the set of wheels that come with it or not, because that's been a problem with some of these Fujimi reissues, is the wheels don't match the box art, but there's always hope. Speaking of more Fujimi, so Fujimi, along with Aoshima, but Fujimi has a initial D line, and these are going to come with the newly tooled up chassis that they've done for a lot of these older kits. Obviously, you have the Tofu car here, along with a Sylvia. Just straight reissues of the kits with the new chassis components underneath of them. The Sil 80 probably didn't really need a new chassis. It wasn't that old in the first place, but whatever makes their world go around over there. And then they're also going to be releasing a couple of kits out of the Wangen Midnight series, so an R33 and an RX-7. Was this an FD3S? So, I mean, other than having 2-part wheels on this, I think this is pretty much the same as all of their RX-7s, and this one has a set of different wheels to it as well. So, yeah, not bad kits, not great kits. They're Fujimi kits.
I heard they're going to be doing a live
I
action
like.
Initial D movie.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, be interesting
The
to
guy
see.
from Fast and Furious is going to do
Yeah.
it.
It'll be interesting to see if they actually make a halfway decent movie out of it. If it's like, Shell from a Ghost, it's whatever that movie was when they put that out.
They did the one in Cantonese.
Reissue of the Supra. This just came out a couple of months ago. Maybe it was last month. This is going to have a door placard that's supposedly the second All Japan Grand Drift, championship. I don't know that this car won or even exists. It's just something they're doing with it. So, yay decals, I guess. Over to Hasegawa, rebox of the new body Toyota Celica liftback kit. This will have the steel wheels put into it because for whatever reason, it's not that I object to it, but for whatever reason, Hasegawa puts Watanabes in every Celica they sell, and you have to specifically buy the production steel real wheel version to get the one that comes with the stock wheels to it. But if you missed out on the release of this with the new body, you get another chance. You get another.
James, I didn't tell you. I did buy that Celica liftback with the Watanabes. It's a nice kit.
Cool. Yeah, it is. New release of their late 90s Mini Cooper. You would think they would have done them all by now, but apparently no. This is going to be what was at the time. Let me get this up because I want to say it correctly. The Mini Cooper Heritage Collection. And this is apparently so heritage, it does actually come with a whole new set of seats tooled up for it. I guess the shtick was they brought back a bunch of the early 60s, 70s pastel colors on these cars. By the time these cars were being sold, to the public, almost all of these late 90s Mini Coopers went to Japan. Like, very few of them were sold in the UK. And I think I read something somewhere along the lines back when this kit was going to be released, what I guess it would be 2 years ago now, trying to figure out why Hasegawa would care about a Mini Cooper that was so late. And apparently, like, it was after 95, it's when these cars got factory air conditioning, and like every single, for 96, 97, and 98, every single one of the air conditioned cars went to Japan. So apparently this was it was a big thing for those 3 years, the last of the Mini Coopers, and they're certainly going all guns with giving you every version of them they can. I'll buy this. This is a 93 Japanese touring car championship Skyline. Another set of new wheels tooled up for this. I'm interested to see what you get out of decals for this because I bought aftermarket decals for this, and it's just the outline without this panel being blue in here. And Hasegawa's been really weird about their decals recently, so I'm expecting more or less the same thing. So that'll be a fun masking job to get it inside this line.
Ooh, yeah.
This is going to be another one for the Yukashiro Megadoc 40th Anniversary Series. This is the new tool RX-7 they did a few years back with a 3D bumper, which, go back, you can see here. That's a big clunky bumper. This is the boss of the guys who were racing's car. And this is a really nice kit. The RX-7, super nice. You kind of have to be into the movie or the cartoon series to care about this bumper, I think. And in this little checkered flag decal, because otherwise, it's just a factory stock kit. It's, I guess, an opportunity. Oops, I stopped sharing, didn't I? Yes, I did. So many of these Hasegawa kits are like, oh, hey, let's see which way we can abuse our customers this month by adding. Yeah, Frank, no, I don't believe that would be a rotary bumper, actually. On the trend of Resin Girl, all the things that Hasegawa's been on for the last 8 years, you're going to get a reissue of their regular Beetle kit with this young lady who's very happy to see you. Basing on the beanie and the sloppy outfit here, I guess you're bringing her dope for the month. Revell will be dropping it's a new kit, but it's like an old kit kind of thing, right? 70s Shelby. There's never been a 70s Shelby done before, but
It was a
70s
69.
Yeah, 70 Shelbys also were 69 Shelbys with a some extra decals on the hood. So yeah, it's the same kit that it's been. I'm not sure where we're sourcing the chin spoiler from. I think the convertible had a chin spoiler, or maybe the 69. Oh crap, what was it? The one of the other Shelbys from 60 from like the Boss kits. I think the Boss kit has a chin
Oh, okay.
spoiler.
The 60, the Mach
But-
1, 69 Mach 1 has a chin spoiler, I think.
There you go. I was say I know that there's chin spoilers in existence. I don't think this is a new piece. I think it's just been added to the kit. And so, if you want a unique piece of Mustang history, right? Because this car is technically a 70, but not really. Yeah, that's coming back. And then speaking of coming back, the 70 Charger, the regular factory stock kit's coming back. This one had a pretty short porch release line because it came out right as Abaco was imploding. So this never got like the initial run sold out, and then there was never really a follow up to it. It just sort of faded off into the ether. So interesting. I've seen the decal sheet for this. The original kit came with these big black sail panels, which I understand really didn't fit for a crap because they're Revell decals. But this time around, they just included the words. You're on your own to mask this off and paint it. But this set of decals comes with the C stripes that go in the door creases and the rear end here. So additional options for the factory stock Charger that didn't exist in the first kit. AMT releasing the 2023 Ford Bronco Outer Banks. This has new wheels, a new grille, a new bumper, a couple other little odds and ends here that make it this trim package. Pretty much everything I've seen online has been why isn't it a four-door? Because it's not. Get over yourselves. Reissue of, and this has been I think I said it's 25 plus years since this was out last, which sounds about right. So reissue of the 88 Daytona Shelby Z. We talked about this when it was announced that they were bringing this kit back because it was a whole discussion on the cars from the TV show Hunter. But yeah, so this is being reissued. I may pick this up just because.
Yeah, I want this one.
It's
fun.
It's that great late 80s car. It'd be more fun if it was a Chrysler Conquest, but I know it's a completely different car, but still. This has become a shtick for round two. They do a holiday every year, so this year's is a Ford C600 delivery truck. I think this was the Hostess truck the last time, or maybe a Pepsi truck. I think it's been a regular Coke truck. This poor kit's been run so often. I'm surprised the molds haven't literally just disintegrated. But I know people collect these. I see YouTube videos of people gleefully buying these things every year. So for those folks, that's coming back out. Reissue of the, what is this? It's 56, right? James?
56, yeah.
Yeah, so
56
56 T-Bird. Silent box art here, which is always a fun time. This is a Mueller. This is the one you built, right?
Right. That's the American Graffiti car.
Right. So any thoughts on that since you built this recently or semi-recently?
That was a great kit. It really was an easy, great kit.
I feel like that needs like the Reading Rainbow, but then after that, reissue, and these are again more of the what I've been calling the B sides of the Mueller era kits, where these this case of Street Machine was only released one time way back when, and they've never seen the light of day again. Sean, is this more your work?
Yep, that's one of mine.
All right, so Mr. Svensson here giving you your great box art on this, and I don't think this has been out for 20 plus years, maybe 30. I can't remember if this has gotten a reissue in the RC2 era or not, but at any rate, it's been a really long time. This is the newer Tool 57 Chevy from like the 90s. It's not the old pepper shaker kit from the 60s. Savinas JR, you're going to get, because Savinas JR is under contract obligation to release a retro petty kit every 3 months, another version of their Chrysler Plymouth.
A Chrysler Plymouth.
Because they can't afford
say
the licensing to say Roadrunner. So yeah, so it's another reissue of the Roadrunner kit. These have been the Roadrunners themselves. The kits have been hard to find. Both of them, there's a 71 and a 72. They both sold out in their first runs before they were actually even shipped. So another version is a little bit of a rare petty cart because the Pepsi liveried one instead of STP. And then a long-standing joke I guess, with these kits is that these are Stuart Haas Mustangs, that they made something along the lines of 2 calls a month for 18 months to get these kits approved, and they finally got them approved right as Stuart Haas is dissolving as a race team this year. So, and these will be the last 2023 Mustangs. They've finally gotten the whatever information they needed from NASCAR to do the new Mustang body, so that'll be coming next year. So Ryan Preece's car, Chase Briscoe's car, again, the race team is dissolving. These drivers are not going to be driving for Stuart Haas in a couple of weeks, and the team isn't going to exist in a couple of weeks. Haas is keeping one car as his own like personal team, and all the other charters are being sold off. And yeah, there you go. There's your October kit releases.
Those would be interesting. Those Salvinos, are the interiors all the same? Like, wasn't it the old monogram ones that like all the interiors are the same? It's just the body that's different. Is
the old Salvinos kits, the ones that are 125th scale that they've tooled up, like that Chrysler Plymouth is their own kit they've made. They have like the old school. It reminds me a lot of the MPC kits of the 80s, where it's a universal chassis and it's molded in like a front half and a back half, and then you decide where along the pins line up to meet the chassis to lengthen and shorten the wheelbase, which is a really weird way to go about it. But I understand the cost savings, because then you could just use one chassis underneath everything. The next gen kits, the new cars, they're like a spec car. All those in real life, those cars are identical. They just have different carbon fiber. They have different sheet metal on the outside. So yeah, all those kits are the same. They just have different bodies.
So you could get real bored real quick.
You could, yes, yeah. If you wanted to, you could. It'll be interesting to have a new Mustang, because it's the Mustang Dark Horse is what NASCAR runs, so it's the more aggressive aero package on a Mustang than a regular civilian car has. Their stupidity with that, and it'll get me banned off of Salvino's website or whatever, but they were convinced that they could get somebody locally to re-EDM the molds to change them to the 2024 body style. Apparently without really ever asking in-depth questions about how that was going to be done. And so, as you might suspect, it turned out that they couldn't actually do that. They took the molds to the local place, told them what they needed to have done, and they were like, "No, we can't do that. What are you, idiots?" And so then it was a whole, well, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? They're going to send the molds back to China, because despite all the made in the U.S. crap that's all over Salvino's kits, the tooling, like everybody else's tooling, is done in China. They're going to send the tooling back to China and have it done again. And then there was some issue with that. And at some point, they realized their Ford contract allowed them to go backwards and release, 2023 kits still. So that's why there's been a sudden release of 2023 Mustangs out of Salvino's the last 3 or 4 months. The Toyota contract, amusingly enough, somebody didn't read the fine print, doesn't allow them to go backwards, so they can't do anything with it. It's just stuck with whatever kits they released out of it. And because they get their CAD data directly from NASCAR, they have secured whatever information they need as to what the changes were going to be for next year, and they can now go get a whole new body tool cut, because that was what they needed to have done in the first place. But they didn't want to spend the money. They wanted to cheapskate around it, and that cheapskating didn't work. And now we had a whole year where we didn't have any Camrys or Mustangs, because wah wah wah. When it comes down to it, those guys don't know how to run a model company. So there's that.
Hey, Spence, out of all those new kits, what looked the most interesting to you?
Well, like I say, I wouldn't mind one of those the 2023 Mustangs. I think that'd be a really interesting build for somebody who doesn't build race cars. Like I don't do a lot of race car type stuff. I think that would be interesting. The Hasegawa Celica looked really good. I've done the I think it was an Aoshima one a long time ago, like when I started my channel, and I enjoyed it. But I look back on those kits and it's like, whew, they're pretty bad. So I'd love to do another one. That Hasegawa looks pretty good. Yeah, there's probably 5 or 6 kits there that I'd be okay with building. The Bel Air. I saw that one online. Somebody did one online, and I thought that was kind of an interesting kit. That'd be pretty cool to do. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff there. Definitely nothing that was like, oh my god, I have to have it. But
Right.
stuff that I would be like, yeah, I'd build that.
Yeah.
You have to have that Daytona. The 88 Daytona.
Yeah, the Daytona is cool. I can't remember if it has flares or not, but I was really intrigued by those crazy flares in the Cavalier kit I did, and I it seems like MPC puts these like oddball flares in a whole bunch of their kits. So
The
yeah,
IMSA
I'm down for weird flares.
Yeah, they went through that whole.
It doesn't have flares. If I can get the image to load here, I want
You
to
built that,
address this comment.
probe.
When I saw it in here, are they Salvino's Juniors models, or it's Salvino's JR? The JR stands for Jim Roberts, who's half of the company. It's his initials. It's not Junior. It's just Salvino's JR. Salvino, Rick Salvino, Jim Rogers is the guy who designs the kits and owns half the company. JR, Salvino's JR. So let's see here. What it does have, if I can get all these stupid windows to go away for half a second, is this. It has like a weird street machiney kind of thing going on.
Yeah, that was what I love that wonky Street Machine version. That looks so badass. I'm down for that. Maybe not the open hood, but
those stripes.
Yeah, it's got like a transverse mounted V8.
Yeah. And it's got intercoolers and turbos and dual carb V8s. There's so much America packed into this tiny car.
America.
Yeah, MPC back in the 80s did a whole series of like custom parts in a lot of their kits where they added those big IMSA wide body flares. In fact, I saw your Cavalier that you built for your YouTube channel. I thought it was very cool. I also built that same kit and did a wide body version. And I made mine look like a real race car, but I like a lot of those kits came with really cool looking wide bodies. I saw you built the Probe, and
yeah, that was fun. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'll say that the Probe was. Did you get the one, the yellow box art that was actually like sold as an IMSA Probe?
Yeah, that's the one that I built. Was the IMSA version.
A fantasy upon Ford's part. I don't believe that car was ever in IMSA, but yeah, if it was, it would look like this. If it was, the Mustang,
yeah, that was
like
badass. I put a big wing on it and bigger BBS rims than what came in the kit, and yeah, I really like that. I thought that turned out pretty good for what it was. I enjoyed that one a lot.
You need to get some of the old MPC Fieros. Those had some very interesting body parts and engine components added to them as well.
Well, I just watched. I guess it was Luca that did. He opened up one, and as soon as he opened it up, and I saw flares in there, I'm like, oh my god, I need that. That's. I would love to do one of those. I have the other one. What's the other brand that did it? Not the MPC, but the other guys.
Well,
I have a different one.
I say Monogram did Fieros.
Is it Monogram? Yeah, I think I have that one. And I was totally gonna. I wanted to take the Fiero body and put a Testarossa Monogram body on it, like get the chassis and cut up a Monogram Testarossa and slap it all around the Fiero and make my own like kit car, but I never did it.
So actually, thinking about it, and I'm not going to dig the images out of it, but all the NPC kits of the late 80s, like Sean said, like the Silverado had a Street Machine version to it, the Beretta
Nice.
had a Street Machine version to it, the Corvette had like wild flares and front ends and rear wings and stuff like that. All of those annual kits from NPC were jazzed up in the box there towards the end of things.
Yeah, I'm down for that weird stuff. That's fun. You can modernize it with like maybe like a bigger wing or bigger rims or whatever, like sort of give it a retro look to it. But yeah, I those that oddball stuff, I love it.
So, James, I'm going to kill your wallet. Spencer, tell James about those resin kits that you've been buying.
It's
What
like
was the brand
okay.
again?
The ones from Japan. Those are
Yeah.
the SMP. They're a supercar modeling project, and they do like really super obscure like concept cars and stuff that you're just not going to see anywhere else. They end up they're like 30,000 yen for the kit, and then another 50,000 for shipping for one kit. But man, I love them. They're so fun. I just don't have the skills to build them yet. They're the last one I did just oof, not as good as it could be, definitely. But yeah, those are great.
James loves new stuff that he's never seen.
I am well aware of him. I follow his Facebook page or his Facebook page or a blog thing in Japan or something like that. A lot of the stuff is like super weird out there concept cars,
Yes.
all like weird Alfa Romeos and goofy stuff like that. But he made some like the 60s, 70s Lamborghinis that I would love to be able to get my hands on.
Yeah, I got that.
He did a 308, like a 308 Mondale not too terribly long ago, which is just not quite goofy enough for me to pay $300 for a Ferrari kit, but it's very interesting nonetheless. And yeah, he crazy weird stuff that guy does, and it's all like full detail too. It's all like everything has engines and everything.
Yeah, and the photo etch is just like down to levers in the dashboard and just like really intense. Every kit comes with a set of keys and a key fob, so you can put all the keys on the fob and put it in the ignition. Yeah, it's pretty wicked. I did the Ferrari Rainbow, the 308.
Yep.
And I did the Alfa Romeo Carabo, the green one that came out recently. I bought 2 of that kit because I knew I wasn't going to do a good job on it. So I wanted to build it so that I could just understand how to build it. And then later when I feel like I'm better, I'll build it again.
White glue, Spencer. White glue.
It's not so much the assembly. The assembly isn't as big a deal. It's the I think it was only the 3rd resin kit that I've built. Like
okay.
I don't do a lot of resin, and the his stuff, the white resin that he uses is really soft. So when oh my God, scribing, I just make a mess of everything. The blade goes everywhere, even when you're trying not to. It's frightening. So yeah, it takes a little bit of experience. I have maybe a dozen of his kits. So it's yeah. I love them. I love the obscurity.
It's a flying doorstop is what that is.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, this was this car has been my favorite car since the 80s. I owned a kit car of this car when I was maybe 15 years ago, something like that. It was based off off this car. So as soon as I saw this, it was like, yeah, I gotta have it for sure, no question.
Like I said, he makes a Yurako. Like nobody's ever gonna kit that Lamborghini.
Right.
He made a Jarama. Nobody's gonna ever kit that. And he made the Spada. Nobody's ever gonna kit that either. Like these are
Look
super
at that.
super
That's gorgeous.
super weird and goofy, but they're like, as somebody who in my personal stash clearly likes Lamborghinis, I'd love kits of them, but I don't think they will exist. And maybe he could just in our thinking back to Bill Geary, maybe he could just sell me the file.
Print one, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's like they're very limited stuff. He makes 50, 75 of them.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's very many, and
they
always sell out in days.
Yeah, they're there and they're gone. You have to pre-order those.
Yeah. I get every one, so I think I'm on the list of like, oh yeah, he's gonna get one. So whatever.
All right, boys, we're raiding a Canadian island. Let's go. We'll get the boat from what was Expendables. That was our airplane.
Yeah, there you go.
That was a boat. So.
There you go. It's tough, the whole moving from styrene into resin, because resin it has so many avenues. Like you could do like James, print your own stuff. There's so many amazing things that you can print now, buy the files and print. But then there's so many really great kits as well out there. But when you're hitting like 160, 200, 250 per piece, it's like, man, like James was saying about the Yaris, like 2 of the Ava versions, that's like over $300 right there. Man, brutal. So yeah, getting into resin is like very bittersweet, definitely.
So there's 2 versions,
and you can't build them in a week.
Well,
it's a lot more difficult. The Carabao took me 2 weeks to do that one. So yeah.
2 weeks.
Took me a little longer.
Spencer, I wanted to ask you, for your YouTube channel, do you just build whatever you want and it just, or do you have a strategy, or do you building something specifically to create content that you know is going to be popular or to get views?
Oh, it's always the question. We all know like our genre is full of different people in different niches, and there's some big YouTubers there that do very like specific type of product and whatnot. When I started my channel, I was like, I'm doing whatever the hell I want. I don't give a crap, like whatever. I just do what I want. But then you're caught between that, like, do I build what people want to see, or do I build what I want to build? So I kind of integrate a little bit of both. And what I do, which I found actually works pretty good, is every once in a while I'll put up on my channel in the community tab a poll, and I will choose 4 kits that I'm interested in doing, and then poll my audience and say, which one should I do? Now, they're all my choices, but it's my audience choosing which one of those that they want to see. So you're kind of integrating a little bit of both. And there is some strategy to what you build. Like I do have the AE86 sitting around somewhere, thinking like, yeah, I'm kind of holding off on that as a, like, for the algorithm build. And I think this R35 that I'm doing is a very much for the algorithm build and stuff like that. It's not that it's not fun, and I've always wanted to build it, but it's definitely a more like, this is a popular vehicle, so build it for YouTube kind of thing. But I like doing my own stuff too. I like doing weird, obscure, nonsense cars. Nobody cares. Nobody watched my rainbow video. I think it's not even 1,000 views. So
we'll see. Tester knows the danger of the pole. That's how I got stuck into building that 50 Ford.
50 Ford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys pick it. And they pick the
But-
hardest one, right?
And then
That's
nobody
why
cares.
you always choose 4 kits that you actually want to do. You don't pick some nonsense that's like, I don't really want to build this, but you
But,
kind of have to be in the mood for it.
I actually had a good time building the 50 Ford, and I think it turned into a good series.
Oh, it was
sort of back to
great.
basics. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really didn't want to build it.
I get like that too. I think all builders get to a point where, like, I like, honestly, when I did the poll because I did a poll for the Cavalier, and I only put the Cavalier on there because it was the only other American car that I have. Is the only other American car in my stash. But I really wanted to build like the Prowler or a Viper or whatever. Like I really wanted to build something like that. And I'm like, okay, put up these ones that I really want to build. And then, shit, I only got 3. And then I'll put that Cavalier in there. Nobody's going to give a crap. And that one like blew all the other ones out of the water.
Yeah, maybe it was just unusual enough that people were intrigued.
Yeah, exactly. Something that apparently it's in a lot of people's stash. A lot of people have that kit, but nobody's ever built it. So, yeah, seeing somebody build it is kind of cool.
And it's not a bad kit. I mean, it's a pretty decent kit. I remember I built one because I'd never seen one built. And I was like, and I started I think I got one off eBay, and for pretty cheap. And I was like, man, this is a pretty decent kit. And I like the wide body version. I thought that would be kind of a neat race car.
Yeah. I saw it's on your website.
Yeah,
the CRX. Yeah, I saw that. I really liked yours. Turned out really good. I used it a lot for my own reference. So yeah, it was very helpful.
What's been the most popular video that you've done to date?
So back, I think my first year, I built the Knight Rider, the Aoshima Season 1, and I actually had the LED in it, like the actual kit that fits in it. You bolt it in and everything. It's like done by Aoshima and whatnot. So I built that, and it's my most viewed video, but it's not builders. It's only the most viewed video by Knight Rider people. So like you can see from all the incoming and whatnot that it's only other Knight Rider videos that ever suggest that video. So yeah, it's all Knight Rider people who watch it, not builders.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's 0.8 of a cent. Who cares where it came from?
Right. Half a penny.
Yeah, it's that's my best video. I had another really good one. I think it was my second or third video, and it was so bad. I don't know. James and I had so many like back and forths about this. It was the Tamiya 300ZX, and it was so bad. The video was like it was embarrassing, like viewing that. But it was like my second best video after the Knight Rider video.
It blew up, right?
Oh,
you couldn't take it down
like,
because you need.
What do I do with this? I don't know. It's so bad. So I think it was last year I built the kit again, and then I took down my first video and then have this other one up, and it's doing great. Like out of something about that kit, people want to watch it.
Currently the 12th most popular.
The 300?
Yep. I'm looking right now. Your kit is most popular, and might I say by double over the second most popular, and that is the Project D version RX-7 initial D.
The yellow one, right?
Yeah. And then then it's the 959, your Fast and the Furious GTX, and finishing out the top 5 is that Ferrari 512.
I think the GTX is because it has Toretto on the thumbnail.
Yeah, that one did well. That one did well about a year after I posted it, and then it did pretty good. And then just kind of fell off. But man, watching those videos now compared to the way I film now, like they're pretty bad. And I was using an old Huawei to do all my filming, like the phone, and yeah, not a good camera at all. So I upgraded my phone this year, and it made a really big difference. I do everything in 4K now.
That's awesome. Was there a video that you did that surprised you? Like, I don't think anybody's ever going to watch this, and then it ended up doing pretty good.
No, all the ones that I figure aren't going to do good, they don't. they all suck. But I enjoy building them. I recently did the Honda CRZ, whatever.
Mhm.
And I thought it was going to do pretty good. It was the Mugen version, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is going to be great. And then like total nothing. I don't even think it's hit 1,000. So yeah, I don't know. It's really hit or miss. I never know. All the stuff I've done in the last couple of months has done pretty good. Like they're all way higher than starting off on all my other videos. So every time I post, it hits that number 1 out of 10, like every time. So yeah, I'm pretty good with that.
Do you do a lot of customizing, or do you mostly like to build out of the box?
Totally depends on the kit. 100%. Like you'll find there's some stuff on my channel where I've actually like cut out doors and trunks and opened everything up, and stuff that I've done full scratch build and whatnot, and then lots of OOB. So it just totally depends on the kit and what I feel like putting into it. Yeah, I like a little bit of everything. But like I say, I'm really limited in how I shop. So I kind of have to make sure that I have everything when I start something. I can't just run down to the hobby shop and pick up something if I don't have it. So yeah.
Do you have a pretty big stash?
Even tools or something you have to.
I buy 2 of all my paints. So I have like 1 full set of Tamiya paints and 1 full backup. So I always buy 1 for the backup when I use it. And that way I'm never out. I never run out. It's my only, except for semi-gloss black. I always buy 6 at a time. Sorry, Sean, you asked something?
I was asking if you have a big model stash.
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, like it wasn't until the last couple of months that I got a couple of big orders from Japan. It's funny because I never really had more than 30 kits around or whatever. Like it was never really that much. And when you're building like 1 a week or every 2 weeks, it's pretty easy to rotate through everything. But I just entered everything into ScaleMates just like last month, and I'm now at like 120 kits in my stash. So yikes, that's a lot.
Oh, that's just starting to get breathing room right there. That's
That's a rounding error.
I was gonna say, hey, well, there's rookie numbers in this racket. You got to pump them numbers.
Well, because I've only been building cars for about 4 years, so it's, for me, it's quite a bit. It's having a lot on hands. Now, I mean,
that is a lot.
If it was toys, like I have a lot of toys. I have a lot of action figures and stuff that I've been collecting over the years. So I understand what it means to be collecting something for a long time and having a really big collection. But yeah, for me, cars, it's only been a couple of years.
Still young. You got plenty of time.
Yeah, I got time. I just hope they never move me, because if I have to move everything, that would totally suck. I have to box everything up, put it in crates. They have to throw it on a ship, bring it somewhere else. Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, that is a problem that you really don't. I mean, you have a permanent home, but you don't really have a permanent home.
Yeah, I don't own anything in town or whatever. Like if I ever quit this job, I'm screwed. I got nothing. I got nowhere to bring everything. I have a house full of stuff and nowhere to put it.
Let's
So
say I've seen in the comments here because I saw this earlier. The Revell dropping the Lincoln Pro Street and the 68 Chevelle. It's a question of, especially with the Lincoln, like the reissue run on Revell kits for at least a decade now has been about 4,000 pieces on things that are just reissues with no new parts or anything like that in them. And so with them dropping it out of the catalog, that means that they sold out of them. That's a good thing, right? We want them to sell out of their kits that they're reissuing because that means they made their money, and when the next thing comes along. 68 Chevelle is probably the same thing, and maybe it was a little bit slower because the 68 and the 69 came out back to back over the course of about 18 months there a few years ago. And the 68 was the first one of the two. So I think that's been in the catalog since 2019, I think. It was one of the first kits that came out after Hobbico imploded, and then Revell's new ownership took over, and all that horse hockey that went on back then. But I think that was one of, if not the first, kits that was released after the Revell America was reestablished. So, yeah, okay, it's been in the catalog for 5 years. They sold out, and then that's it. It'll go, hibernate in the Disney vault for next 10 years, and it'll come out, That is traditionally the Revell release schedules. About every 9 years, existing tooling gets reissued. So it'll, it is what it is. I told the guy who I saw that from earlier before William mentioned it there in the chat was like, if it's kits are limited production numbers anymore. I mean, really, even a new kit, Model King is 6,000 pieces. A regular production Mobius or Revell or round two release is around 8,000 if you don't count like the stuff that gets shipped directly to Hobby Lobby or whatever. If you see something, you want to buy it because it may sell out, and then you're stuck paying eBay prices.
And my general rule of thumb with anything in the hobby is just like if you see it and you want it, buy it right then, because you never know if
you never see it again. Yeah. Right. So Tim Custom wants to know, Spencer, where does one get a supercar modeling project 24 kit?
I'm always really afraid to post anything about these kits whenever I do them, because inevitably I know that question will come up, and it's so. It took me 6 months of hard searching to find a guy who knows somebody in Japan who can connect me with a guy who knows who I can get it. Like literally it took me forever to try and find somebody who can get them. And it was really, really hard trying to talk with the people who are involved in these kits. Is like impossible. Not only is the English not so good, but I also feel it's like I'm not from Japan, so I'm not part of the club, so I'm not included. And that's, unfortunately, that's kind of the feeling that I get with this brand. And so I try not to promote them too much or be like, hey guys, this is what you do, this is where you got to go, whatever, because I don't know how much they want to. I don't think they're looking to build their business. I don't think that's what their thing is. They make a small number of kits, they sell them to a specific group of guys, and that's kind of what they do. And I don't want to be that guy who's like, yeah, everybody go to these guys, and then have them say, that's it, I'm not selling to you anymore. Like the last thing I want is to have them blacklist me or something, right? For being, I don't know, for pointing too many people their way. But
snitch.
Yeah. And I've tried to ask, I've tried to be like, hey, do you mind if I promote these, or do you mind if I show this or whatever, and I never get an answer. Like I get nothing, just silence, not even a response. So yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say. There is a website out there that does sell them. I've had other people try and contact them through that site with no response. And that's kind of all I can say. You do a search, it's there, or you can try off of the blog. Because like James D was saying, there is a blog. I follow it as well. And it is there. There is a form there that you can email them and whatnot. It's searchable. It is searchable.
Is question number 1, are you in Japan?
Yeah, I'm not in Japan. Yeah. So I feel really ousted by the whole thing. But I had to have them. The stuff that they build is just, yeah, I had to. So I spent a long time really, really, really like digging the dark web, looking for a way to get them.
James, wasn't there like a decal set or something? It was before we met Wenben that had Miku decals that didn't want to sell to U.S. people or something.
There is, I don't know if they're like an aftermarket company because they do body stuff too. It's called, what is that stupid thing? I can't remember what the heck the company's called now, because it's through the website I have is through like another person that's selling their stuff, but it's, they were doing like add-on sets for like the Super GT series in Japan, where they would do the decals. They did conversion sets to turn the Tamiya AMG into the Evo prior to all the various other people doing that set. And it's going to drive me crazy now that you mentioned it. I can't think what it is. But at any rate, they have a website, and I can see every product they offer and what it costs and everything like that. And so I made several inquiries to the website telling the guy, like, I don't care how you send it, how much it costs to send it, what your ridiculous over-the-counter rate to send it to me is going to be, because you're not an actual like business that's doing, it's going to be, it's what we had with problem with when he started out was he's not a business in China, and so we're paying like over-the-counter UPS rates to send something from China to the United States. It was $50 to send the box, but and you're just like, no, we do limited run stuff. We sell it strictly in Japan, and occasionally it'll pop up on like Yahoo Japan auctions and stuff like that, the way SMP stuff will. And it's like, if you find it, good luck. But otherwise, I've gotten a few sets of their decals when somebody was cleaning out their collection. They put up, it was great because it's always that time where like you have no money, right? It's you just paid your car payment and the electric bill, and you got $300 floating around, and it's like, hey, here's 18 things you've always wanted, and they're all $150 a piece. Godspeed. And it's like I snagged some of the decal sets that came with an AMG kit, because you can always use an AMG kit, and because the guy did, and they're homebrew decals. They're like one of those things where you cut around. Yeah, they're like they're basically an Alps kind of thing, and so they're not the greatest decals in the world, but they're the only people doing them, and they did conversion sets for the GTR and to do the Aston Martins that are running now, and a bunch of different stuff. And like I said, I know what it costs. It's like $100. It's if you want a conversion set with the decals, and I was trying to buy it like in bulk too, right? Like, you have these 4 sets of decals. I don't want the conversion sets, but I'll buy them anyway. You have 3 sets of decals for the Audi R8. I'm into race cars. If you can't figure that out, and I'll buy them all. I'll buy everything in there. This is like a $900 order. I'm going to get hit with U.S. Customs coming in because it's over the $800 max level of self-importation. And I don't care if it costs another $300 to send it to me. Just send me your stuff. Nope. Not going to do that. Not interested in dealing with customs. Not interested in sending it to you. He told me something like, if you could find somebody locally and buy it and have them send it to you, we can work with somebody here to take the reservations on products, but we're not equipped to send it overseas. I'm like, how much equipment does it take to put shit in a box, put it in, and drop it in the mail? Like, this is. I'm not asking you to send me a nuclear reactor. I'm asking you to send me 3 sets of decals and some resin. But no.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about the SMP stuff. as well. Is like it feels like their whole attitude is like we just don't want to deal with anything outside of Japan. So yeah, it's iffy.
The guy who runs SMP, I was just looking at my Facebook because I'm like, am I not friends with him? And I just looked through my friends request, and he still never ever responded to it, and it's like 3 years old.
Me neither. He never responded to my friend request.
We as I said, looking at this, we have one. He has 139 friends on Facebook, and one of them is a mutual friend, and it's not somebody I know real well. So, like, I look at the blog, and I sit here and I look at the stuff, and he's doing a Yurako prototype next, and it's 28,600 yen, so that's roughly what $240 or so when it's all said and done with. It's not the Yurako I want, but I would take it. But
yeah, I'm
not gonna fight about it.
I'm gonna get that one and the Mondale. I usually get 2 shipped at the same time, so I'll get that Yurako and the Mondale sent on my next order. But yeah, not cheap. Definitely not cheap.
Poor Sean. Poor Sean and his $20 kits.
No, there's no way I'm spending $280 for a kit. There's nothing I want that bad, right? Because I sit there and think, well, I could get 10 kits for $280. Not that I need 10 kits, but
I love you.
That's some Ollie's thinking right there. Oh, I'm gonna go drop $250 on 30 model kits at Ollie.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely a cheapskate. Like when it comes to model kits, like if I had to break $100 bill to buy a kit, that is a big deal.
I looked at it as so if you want to get some of the higher end Tamiya kits, they run $80, $90, $100 anyways. So I mean, at least here in Canada, right? Like there's lots of kits that run pretty close to $100. So if I'm buying those and it's just like an everyday release, then to get something that's like super obscure, yeah, I'd probably be willing to spend a little bit more for that. About that Tucker, the one from Red Wheel, because it's a Tucker. Like it's like, come on. It's a Tucker of all things. Nobody's gonna ever build that in styrene. So, gotta have it.
Sean, you talked about buying that Tucker.
Yeah, that it's pretty cool.
just be careful because once you go, it's hard to turn back. I'm cursing James for setting me onto the PZY stuff. Oh my god, that's like.
And I blame James because he got me started on the alpha stuff.
Yeah, it's
the root of all evil.
Thankfully, all of those high dollar, resin kits and stuff, they're usually of like exotic European or Japanese cars that I don't really have that much interest in. Like now, if it was like, I don't know, 73 Chevelle wagon and it was super detailed, like, all right, I probably could spend that, something obscure American car, but.
I'll be honest, I browse that Jimmy Flintstone site regularly. There's a lot of really interesting resin. Like I love wagons. Wagons to die for. I love them. And he does so many weird wagons and stuff.
You'd be so sorry if you ever bought one.
That's what I feel, is that I don't think it would be what I want it to be. It would just be, I'd have a little bit of buyer's remorse.
Some of his stuff is pretty good, actually. I bought he's got a trans kit for a 71 Ford Torino, the King Cobra. So that was the sort of the version that NASCAR was gonna do a version to rival the Dodge Daytona. And so Ford started building a slope nose Cobra Torino Cobra, and he's got a nice resin. I bought one of them. That's a really nice trans kit for that.
Mm.
So some of his stuff is really good.
Yeah,
I just remember.
Sorry, James, go ahead.
I've bought Jimmy Flintstone stuff and kept it for years, and and then sold it or gave it away or threw it away or whatever because I never built it. But yeah,
I've had hands on some of his stuff like years and years ago as well, but I have no idea what happened to it. I must have just gave it away or whatever. But him and Too Many Projects, I browse his list pretty regularly. Like a lot of stuff on there that I'm kind of like, oh, that would be kind of fun to build. Like that would be interesting. So yeah, it's hard. There's lots of really interesting stuff out there to build for sure.
So this is the golden age for sure.
Spence, I was going to ask you what's the aspect of modeling that you think you struggle with the most?
So I wanted to my biggest difficulty that I'm finding for me at the moment is I have nothing to compare any of my work to other people other than pictures. And pictures are really easy to lie, like really easy. So it's very different when you have a kit in front of another kit at a show or like in a group or something like that. So for me, my focus lately has been finish, like trying to get that absolutely spectacular gloss mirror finish. And I'm finding I keep running into all kinds of different complications because I do everything like I use the Mr. Hobby can clear. I don't use a 2K. I don't even know where I would buy a 2K from, like other than maybe Amazon and get some automotive 2K or something. I have no idea. It's like nothing in Canada. I only know of one place that carries 2K, but not my regular hobby shop, the people I buy from normally. So for me, the difficulty lately has been trying to get that like absolutely amazing mirror finish and decals. I am like so bad at decals. I'm terrible. This even this one, the R35 that I'm working on right now. Oh man, I did carbon fiber on the hood, bad choice, and on the roof and on the trunk, and it just all sorts of things that I'm like, this is not fun. It's not enjoyable. So yeah, there's a lot of those things that I'm trying to look into doing more of that kind of stuff so I can build those skills. But that's where I'm struggling right now, is that kind of thing.
Have you watched Mr. Tester's videos on applying deck? We call them decals in the United States, but
yeah.
James Tester has a really good series on applying decals or decals.
I have seen every single one of James's videos probably multiple times. I
he has nothing better to do.
I go over his category quite frequently. So, and yeah, I've said to James several times that he needs to do more decal videos because I find them so informative when he does them. And of course, he does all those like anime cars with like a billion decals on them, and like doing decals over decals over decals, and then still getting a really nice gloss mirror finish over all that. Whew, that's beyond beyond my abilities at the moment. So
you'll get there.
Yeah,
you'll get there. Do a couple of them.
I have some coming. Thank you, James. Thank you so much. I do have a few. I have the 2009 BMW on the way in, and so I'll give that one a go. And I did get that R35 as well. The whatever the Go Fun,
right.
whatever that one was. Yeah, I thought that looked pretty cool.
That is going to be a hell of a project. I tell you what. Just to get the body together is going to be a project. and then prime it, flatten it, decal it, clear it. Yeah.
and do the race interior.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't understand. I don't understand why they didn't just do the body. Like, they did everything but the roof and the quarter panels. It doesn't make sense.
I asked
Just
the
do the whole
same
thing.
question. I think he said something to the effect of it's too hard to do a body. They can print parts easily, but printing bodies is too hard.
I could see it. I could see that.
So I want to ask. I want to ask. Now, granted, you're in a unique situation where you're locked in a building and you can't leave. But where do you find the motivation to like sit down and work on it every day? Like, I understand there's a little bit of a there's no other choice kind of proposition involved there, but like you could do other things. Like you could read a book, you could fly a kite, you could, get a master's degree in business administration. There's all sorts of things you could do other than build models.
Well, that's the amazing thing about my job. Like, I love my job, but I do all those things as well. I have the time. I have the time to do it because I have no distractions. So it's easy. It's easy. And I legit love being here. I can't stress enough how much I love my job. So when you're in a position where you love what you're doing and then you love your hobbies, it's you don't even think about it. Like, I wake up in the morning,
Spencer.
I wake up, I do my weather, I have my coffee, I sit down in my chair, I turn around and look at my model table and go, what am I working on today? What is my goal to get done for today? So yeah, I don't even think about it. It just that's my routine.
I think if you sat down a bunch of model builders though and told them that, you would get a lot of that's a job. If I have to work on it every day, it's a job.
That's what I was thinking when you said it. I was like, man, you build models like it is your job.
Yeah, but if I don't, like, I mean, James will attest, there's lots of times where I'm like, dude, I can't do it. I'm just not into it. I'm not into it today. And I'll go and pick up the Xbox and I'll like game all day, or I'll like do something else or whatever. I'll spend a week not building just because I didn't feel like it, and then get back to it later. So my channel will attest to that. There's lots of breaks in my videos. There's lots of times I'll have like a 2-week or a 3-week break between a video, and it's just I just didn't feel like building that week. So I didn't. When you have that kind of freedom, it's not a job. You do it because you love it.
Yeah.
And you can't order enough beer to become an alcoholic being there all by yourself.
Well, I don't drink, so that makes it super easy for me. But I do know other lightkeepers who do drink, and I do know it's not a good thing to be by yourself and to be drinking beer or wine or whatever on a daily basis. It just ends up being not very good for you.
Sure.
What? Get away.
Oh, what camera time, Dad?
Yeah.
James, you want to ask the question?
Yeah, as we head out the door here, the question we always ask everybody is assuming that Spence is still there because he's frozen on my screen.
Oh, yeah. Maybe the dog tripped the cord.
We may have just lost Spence.
The Huskies have unplugged the internet. Oh, no, he's back.
Nope,
There
wait.
it is.
Hi. How's it going?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Whale.
Yeah. So
a whale landed on the internet cable there. We always ask everybody, as the question out the door here is your Magnus Open build. It's the one thing or series of things. To me, it's a series of race cars. But the one thing that you would like to do that's sort of your lifetime achievement award in modeling kind of thing? Is there like a specific project that you've always wanted to do? It could be something you were mentioning earlier that your skills aren't up to yet, or things of that nature. Is there something? It may not even be something that's in the stash necessarily, but just something that's floating around out there that you would really, if you could build nothing else, you're literally trapped on a desert island. So you got that part down already.
I got that down.
Say if there's one thing you could do, what would it be?
So like I said, my favorite car has always been the Alfa Romeo. And I owned a kit car of that car. But of course, the kit car is actually fairly different. It's on a Volkswagen chassis. It has gull-wing doors instead of the scissor doors. It has the front's a little different. The back opens up a little bit differently. A few other odds and ends. But I've always wanted to build that in 1/24 scale. And so the question is, do I want to butcher 30,000 yen kit to build a Volkswagen based kit car? I'm not sure, but I have been toying with the idea. I have been playing with it. I do have a really nice printed turbo Volkswagen engine that I'm holding aside. I do have the Tamiya Volkswagen chassis, like that kit. I do have one. It's a side. So I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. That's a heavy commitment. So, but that's probably the one that I would want to do. With, of course, the gull wings opening and like everything opening up and all that stuff. So
very cool.
Other than that, I want to do that Honda Civic, the one that's coming out, the yellow one, the Hasegawa one. I want to do that with a full engine bay with a B16 in it. That's been my like, I really want to do it. So,
well, we'll look for it on your channel.
Yeah. I want to get that Hobby Design B16 engine, but it costs more than the actual kit. So I don't know.
In case anybody's wondering what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, look at it.
I have one on the way.
Yeah, I have two on the way.
James, do you have it yet?
I did not buy that. No, I mean it's
what?
It's the Civic with the race car parts added to it. I've seen in his channel he's built the race car version of it. Yes. So you know what you're dealing with here. This is just the civilian interior in it instead of the race car interior. So, I mean, it's cool, but it's nothing I can't build. It's nothing I can't already build with the kits I already have. I don't need to buy a whole new one.
Yeah, I didn't want to use one of the race car versions to like cut it all up because those are limited. Those Hasegawa kits were limited and not likely to be done again. So yeah, I want to build those like OOB stuff.
Yeah. So we will.
I think that's going to be a hot kit this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I've seen a lot of people who wouldn't necessarily be like, "Oh, let me go buy a Hasegawa kit." Be like, "I need this Hasegawa kit." So.
Yeah,
even Sean's talking about buying one.
I would buy one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, totally worth it. It's a great build. I really enjoyed building the one that I did.
If only they could throw a left-hand drive dashboard in that. James, go find me a left-hand drive dashboard on Colt somewhere.
Okay. All right. Right on.
Done.
Let's say, and then as I know him, we probably will. So. And then I'll be sitting here buying a $500 resin printer to print a dashboard.
See, if you give me that kit in wagon form, I'm done. I'm done. 4-door wagon of that bad boy, and life is good.
Hasegawa, are you listening?
Yeah, exactly.
Do it just for me. Just for me, Hasegawa.
All right, Spence. As we go on the way out here, your social medias, if you want to promote yourself, how do we see your stuff?
So Scale Auto Garage will get you everything. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. My Instagram is always about 2 kits behind what I do for YouTube. So YouTube is always my kind of to go to stuff. And then, yeah, you can get me there. Either way.
And it's 4:00 in the morning as well.
And 4 in the morning. Yes, sir. It's way past my bedtime now. You guys are keeping me up late.
To say we gotta get him to bed because that long 15-second commute into work in the morning. So
yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I'm telling you.
So thanks out to everybody in the chat tonight. You guys were great, and looked like you guys helped each other out with a couple of issues you were having in the chat there as well. Thank you, Spence, for coming on tonight and being our guest. And thanks everybody for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
See you next time.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks so much, guys. I loved it. It was so fun. Take care.